The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
In Bnei Brak, many years ago, there was a woman who was crossing the street in one of the thoroughfares in Bnei Brak. She stepped out in between two cars. She was run over by a car. The car hit this old woman. It was her fault. Everybody saw it was her fault. She stepped out from the middle of the thing during a green light, whatever. Unfortunately, she passed away from her injuries. Anyway, everyone sees there's a woman who's passed the middle of the street. At the time, there were many fights that they had, the religious Jewish community had at the time with the government about how they would treat the bodies of people that passed away. You find someone in the middle of the night with 3 knives in his chest. You want to figure out who did it. That's, not that we hold that or you're supposed to do that, but you could understand that there will be a sikhsuch between the police and the people as to whether or not that you should do an autopsy. Judaism never believes that we do an autopsy unless there's a specific reason for pikuach nefesh that we have to do it, right? But at the time, they just did autopsies willy-nilly. Cut the body open. Sometimes they took body parts. They didn't treat the body parts with the proper respect. I mean, it was wild. So what happened? This happens in the middle of a very religious city. There was no reason to do an autopsy. All the witnesses saw that she stepped out in the middle of traffic, and the guy hit her wasn't his fault, right? So there's no reason. So all of a sudden, people start coming out. They said, go call the rabbi. The rabbi said, well, of course there's no reason here to do it. We should do everything we can to make sure that the body gets a proper burial without being desecrated. Judaism places an incredible premium on kavod hametim, on the honor of the dead. Many times we'll get phone calls about people that are going to be cremated, and we do everything we can in the community to try and make sure they get burial kavod Yisrael. I once heard there was a fellow who spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on bringing people to Kivurat Yisrael. And they asked him, why was this so important to you? That they should be, he says, because my family went through the Holocaust, the Nazis burned them in their ovens. He says, I can't bear the thought that we're doing that now willingly to our family members. I will pay anything, I will give anything to help someone get to Kivurat Yisrael. Baruch Hashem, through people like that, we've been able to help people that maybe don't know the difference. They don't know why it's important. Okay? Anyway, so we have a very big thing about Kavod Metim. Everyone goes, by the way, at a funeral, the family members, they go and they ask Mechila, did we ever do anything to you? If we ever did that upset you, please forgive us. You know who else asks Mechila in our community? Not in every community, but many communities. The Chevra Kadisha will ask forgiveness from the Niftar in case there was a tiny lapse in the Kavod of the Met. We are very careful with Kavod Met. So they go to the rabbi. The rabbi says, no, we should try and give a burial. You said, what happens? 5 people are there, 10 people there. People start talking. The police come. The police say they want to take the body away. But they say, what's the reason? There's no reason for it, even according to your own opinion. You're only doing this to ascertain the cause of death. Everybody here saw what the cause of death is. You don't need to do this. The police, they're saying, no. People start hearing the police says that. All of a sudden, next thing you know, there's 1,000 people there. 1,500 people, 2,000 people, yeshiva students, they're saying Tehillim, everyone's going to that praying. The police already see that this is not a very comfortable situation. They're going to have to fight with a crowd that wants to just give this woman a Jewish burial. So you know what? They turn their eyes the other way and they walk away. Rav Chaim Kanievsky at the time, they wanted to find out, he was speaking to his mother, he said, what's going on that this woman managed to get, she doesn't look like she's very religious. She managed to have an impromptu funeral with thousands of people in attendance and buried, properly according to halakha. What zechut did she have? Anyway, they asked around, the mother asked around, they spoke to someone about it. My friends, you must hear the end of this. It turns out, Rav Chaim replied that when they made the birurim and they found out who she was, it turned out that Rav Chaim Kanievsky's mother Ki imo hikira et hanifteret. She remembered this person who passed away, this elderly woman. She remembers her that she was born in the city of Kosovo. Okay? And she tried to understand why is it that she had this funeral, but she didn't keep anything. She didn't even fast on Yom Kippur. She wasn't religious at all. So they tried to figure it out. And they asked around about this woman, what her past was. Did she have any zechut? Did she do any mitzvah that would have caused that she should have the merit of such an honorable levaya? And my friends, unbelievable. It turns out that someone did recognize her. And someone did have an understanding and an explanation for why this woman merited such a thing. You got it? What'd you say? No. I thought you guessed. They said this woman, even though she weren't religious at all, but back when she was very much younger, in the ghetto, during the time of the war, many people, they were starving them. So you'd have cases where people would wake in the morning, you wake up and you see a body in the street. And she was very careful back in Kosovo, in the ghetto, that whenever she would see somebody, a body that was not protected on the street, she would drag it herself and bring it to the kivura and bury the body for kavod and the metim. So Borei Olam held on to this and waited and waited and waited and waited. And when it came her time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made sure that she was taken care of, that she was buried. B'fnei kol am ve'edah.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org